Shalom, everyone. I haven't done a live in a minute. Hold on, let me invite homie. Okay, so what we finna do is I guess we're gonna have like a little miniature debate um, about whether, well, I guess about the Moshe law, um, or the covenant, I would say. Um, I'm gonna try to invite him through really fast. Hey, ma, I'm gonna call you in a minute. I'm gonna call you in a minute. Don't worry. This is pretty much for Israel though. So I mean, if you're not keeping like the law, statutes, and commandments, this is not going to be fun for you at all. But other than that, we're gonna be. I'm looking for somebody to. Let's see. There you go. Okay. I'm like, but yeah, like the importance of the statutes and laws. Oh, there you go. Okay, I just invited you um, to come on. Uh, Hopefully you get it. If not, send me a request, and um, we can rock it. Until then, I guess I'll play some music. I'll play some instrumentals because for some reason I keep on getting kicked off. So uh, let's see. I don't even know what to play. I'll play some instrumental stuff. They're gonna be old school instrumentals. Uh, let's see. I don't even want to play that. I don't want to play that either. Oh, there's gonna be some throwbacks. Okay. But yeah, just let me know when you get that. I sent you an invite. I don't know if you got it or not. Wait, let me see. Oh, there you go.
There
There you go.
you
Well, shalom,
go.
right? Shalom. Oh, just I play some
Oh
music. I'm like, oh,
man,
there you go. So,
man,
yeah, I
yeah,
guess like
man.
I haven't did a live in a minute. I've been trying to avoid lives, man, because I don't got my. Hold on. I don't got my hard copy. Everything's on my phone, so it's hard to do lives on here. I mean, it's hard to
Um,
kind of try to teach and stuff. So a lot of stuff I probably just gonna have you read or so, but everything's gonna really be coming from the top of my mind, paraphrasing. So, um, but I mean, yeah, go ahead and like introduce yourself and like your position. Um,
man, this is for those who don't know me, this is just Evan Israel. I hold the view that all things has been fulfilled, the Old and the New Testament, and we are in the kingdom of heaven, and we should be in the new covenant, and we should be enjoying it instead of putting ourselves under bondage. So that's my view, straight up.
okay, I show a similar view, though I'm not Tanakh. I mean, I'm Tanakh only. I don't. Um, well, I do believe that everything's fulfilled, so we do have a kind of an agreement with that part. Um, and I do hold the position that we should be enjoying life as the best way you could possibly can. And I deal with, keeping the commandments that are in Torah, the law, statutes, and commandments that are in Torah, and keeping it to our best abilities in the positions that we're at. So, but yeah, all right. So let's say you say you believe that the Moshe covenant, we're not supposed to be keeping the Moshe, the laws that are found written by Moshe. I would say.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that the Moses covenant itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
He actually, the Most High actually gave him some of the other moral commandments that he had already had in place before there was a Mosaic covenant. So what I was saying was, beside those moral codes that has been throughout history, besides those codes that always existed, anything else that comes after those codes dealing with the Mosaic covenant itself, anything that's only found in the Mosaic covenant, we are no longer under that bondage. We are under we still got to do all of the moral codes before there was a Mosaic covenant, all the way up to the Mosaic covenant, because it's some things that every society, every promised person, every covenant had to do similar. So we still got to do those, but all of the other stuff, definitely we don't have to do.
Okay. So when you say the Mosaic covenant and the stuff that's in the Mosaic covenant, kind of define what you mean by like Mosaic. Like give an example of that would be a Mosaic covenant uh, law, and then one that's like would be like a moral law that's always exists. Because like when you say like moral law, are you speaking of like the seven Noahic laws? The
Correct.
one that was given to
Right.
Noah. Okay, which I
Right.
agree.
Right.
I agree. I believe that all nations were subjected unto them. Like you have, for instance, like have a creator. Don't commit adultery. Don't kill. Don't steal.
Right.
Um, okay. Um, okay. So like with those, um, I mean, I'm sorry. With the Mosaic covenant, what would you say the Mosaic covenant would consist of? What laws?
Well, the commandment dealing with the specific rules of the Sabbath day, um, I say that that's no longer in fact the specific rules of the Sabbath day, because before there was a Mosaic covenant, they understood the Sabbath day, but they didn't really have no specific rules for governing the Sabbath day. So I would say that all things that has those rules that ended in wrath, dealing with like Sabbath day, as well as the way they held their courts, the views that they had on society, the things like that that was only particular to the Mosaic covenant. And I can give you a list of a few things if you want me to.
Okay, and like I can't agree with those. There's some laws that can't be done because we're not in the land.
But
There,
but
like for
but
instance.
can I add something?
Oh, go ahead, go ahead,
Um,
go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
well, no, I'm just saying the Most High never gave a commandment throughout the whole any covenant, especially the Mosaic covenant. From what I know, that He said, "Do my covenant with the best of your abilities." I don't think that that was a commandment or anything that the Most High would ever adhere to. I think that he demanded us to follow those rules in every covenant that He has given. So I don't think there's a do it to the best of your ability thing out there, because I just can't see it, especially in the Mosaic covenant. I just don't see him saying that y'all can do these with.
Okay, so you said, which I agree. Um, like there is no specific commandment that says that. Okay, my thing would be, for instance, okay, so do you believe that we are scattered?
Oh, 100%. Now you
Okay.
talking about blood? Hold on. Are you talking about bloodline Israel?
Yes, bloodline Israel.
Yeah, yes, yes. I believe bloodline Israel is scattered. Yes,
Okay, and you believe that you're Israelite, right? You come from that
correct,
bloodline. Okay.
correct.
Can you get me? Well, okay. So I'll ask you to interpret this board on this verse. Oh no, wait, wait. Do you? Before I ask you that, do you believe when we was in Babylon, um, that the Mosaic covenant was still in effect?
and while they was in Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, 100%. It never ended. And I would like to give my further view on Israel also, and then I'm gonna hand it right back to you. Even though I believe that I'm national Israel, I also believe that I'm spiritual Israel, which is the Israel that counts. I think that after the Mosaic covenant, after the Most High made his distinction between the covenants, giving Israel their covenant when he switched over into the new covenant, I think he kind of, hold on, I was getting messages. I think he kind of changed up the whole national Israel to more of a spiritual Israel. So I would say that I am national and spiritual Israel, but I would say there are also spiritual Israels out there that's not national Israel. So I would say that first. And then I would
Okay.
answer that yes, the Mosaic covenant was in effect uh, throughout the Babylonian captivity.
Okay. Okay. So in the Babylonian captivity, did they have court systems?
Uh, did Israel have ways to govern themselves?
Yes.
I well, I don't want to answer yay or nay because I can say that I don't know. I haven't studied up on it, but I would say that um, oh, Babylon. I think he left them with a few prophets and stuff there for them to govern themselves just a little bit. I can't remember if that's what he told them to be fruitful and multiply or what. So you have to enlighten me with that one.
Okay. I would say no. Just a simple fact that um, there was no temple to
Right.
for the judges to actually act in. Me, the judges being the high priest. So no. So with that being said, like no, like there will be things like they couldn't sacrifice because the sacrifices, as mentioned in Leviticus 17, had to be placed in. And actually, is Leviticus 6. Had to come before the tenant meetings. So there are certain laws and statutes that can't be kept. So I agree with that because it's on the fact that certain sacrifices had to come in front of the Levitical by Levitical priests as well as had to by high priest. But as far as like the moral laws that was done, that was actually given, and after the exodus from Babylonian captivity, such as how to treat somebody, how to treat a servant, how to treat how to deal with loaning. You loan somebody money, or you loan another Hebrew money. You're not supposed to put interest into it. Do you believe that that's still in effect? Like you shouldn't put interest
Right
into
now,
people?
right now, I think I think that would be morally wrong, but I don't think there's any wrath behind it right now. I don't think that there's a wrath from breaking that commandment right now, or that statute. I don't think there's any wrath behind it, so I don't think that that's still abiding covenant wise. But now, moral wise, I say you still shouldn't do it. But I will say that's not binding covenant wise.
Okay. Okay, I can see where you're coming from that with that then. Because like I do see that like no, you can't like if somebody kills or somebody steals, you can't, do anything about it. Like unless
Mhm.
you take it to the governmental system that we're in that we're underneath right now. Um, but do you feel that a law was only given to do you believe that the Mosaic law that was given was only given to be putting people to death, or you think it was given to show their morality?
Hold on, man. I'm getting so many calls. Hold
No,
on, man. Hold on. Give me one.
I hear. Okay, so what I'm trying to show is my stance is that the laws that are given in the Torah are not being used to um, to like strictly say that oh you have to kill somebody if they don't do this or you have to kill somebody if they don't do that. But okay, and you're back, so you kind of hear it. I'm showing that laws was actually given to actually set apart people, or to set apart Israel or the nation of Israel from the other nations. So the Most High gave certain statutes and covenants, or I mean statutes and customs, to actually divide Israel from the other nations. Because in Exodus 19 5 and 6, he specifically says that I'm going to I pick you as a nation from all the other nations. So I'm dividing you from out of the mix of the nations that are and you're going to be a people to my, I mean you're going to be my people, you're going to be my chosen. So for him to do that, he had to set up certain statutes or certain laws and certain commandments to say, this is my people. They're going to abide by my specific rules, and these are the rules that I want them to follow. Um, where other nations were allowed to do these specific things, but Israel themselves wasn't. And whoever wanted to join themselves to Israel was able to or had to keep these specific laws. It's kind of like if a foreigner comes and say, "Oh, I want to be an American," then they have to abide by American rules in order to be considered themselves as American. But if if they didn't, then there was consequences behind them or behind it. There are just that's the exact same thing as with Israel. I see Israel or the setting up of Israel in the Torah or in Exodus as a type of confederation. Okay, so it's not just dealing with bloodline, but it's dealing with a bunch of people that was like rebellious against the other nations or the foreign power or the power that was controlling the world at that time and wanting to set up their own specific government. In order to set up their own specific government, they had their own nation. I mean, they had the law, or constitution, bill of rights, and amendment rights. Um, so I want to show where, like, for instance, keeping the Shabbat is what separated us from the other nations that wanted to do like Sunday worship, uh, uh, Monday worship, Friday worship, whatever type of worship you want to do. The feast days were to separate them from like feast days like Yule or Christmas or etc. like that. You know, so these were supposed to divide us from other nations. Now we'll go to let's bring up incest because incest actually was very well common among the other nations. But when you read in Exodus, incest was not allowed, or whatsoever. So it said that you can't marry your sister. But if we go and look in Egypt, Tutankhamun married his sister. Akhenaten married his sister. Ramesses married his half sister, as well as his mother. This is where Moshe's mother comes. I mean, Moshe, the person who adopted Moshe. This is where his mother came from. That's why he was a part of the royal family because he ends up marry. She ends up marrying um, her father, which puts him into a line as a prince of Egypt. But when we get into the Exodus, the Most High was like, no, I don't want you marrying your sister or the daughter of your father, you know. So this is something that was actually used to separate us from the other nations at that time.
Well, my response to that would be first, I feel that each covenant had their own laws, statutes, and commandments to go by. Because just as you brought up the incest, well, in Abraham's covenant, the father didn't have a problem with Abraham marrying his sister, but in the Mosaic covenant, it was forbidden. So it's just how the Most High did the different covenants. It's his rules, how he wants to govern his covenant. But I will also say that the Ten Commandments came in effect because he was trying to set Israel, the whole nation of Israel, up as priests. And they had been in Egypt for over 200, 215 years. So they have
I'm gonna do air
been, they
quotes on
have
that.
lost, huh?
So I said I was gonna do air quotes on that because I still. Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, okay. Well, I would say about they was in Egypt about 215, 230. I had to look it up in my Septuagint, but I would say that he was giving them a way to get back to the moral. Hold on, man.
Hey,
Hold
man,
on.
you kind of popular, ain't you?
Yeah, hold on, man.
And why
Hold
you
on,
do
hold
that?
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
Oh,
Hold on, hold on,
go
hold on,
ahead, go
hold on.
ahead.
Oh, hey, I'm about done, man. It's just
No, go ahead. I
one,
thought you
one,
was
one.
taking care of something.
Oh no, man. As soon as I jumped on, man, people started hitting me up.
Mm.
they've been waiting on this right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So, but I would say that he was setting them up because they had been in Egypt. They have lost all of the moral ways or the moralities of being a chosen people. Um, just like Abraham, Abraham was righteous, and Noah was righteous. So Israel at this time there was no everything was based off of righteous. It was yeah. See, popular. See,
Kids,
see,
kids, huh?
yeah. Okay, hey, can I finish? I'm trying to do this. Hey, you got a lot of hair. I see you. That's my godson. All right, baby, I got to finish this though. All right, so now everything was based off of righteousness before
Hmm.
the Mosaic covenant came in with all of these rules and regulations that ended in wrath. So while they was in Egypt, there we go again. All right. So while they was in Egypt, they had lost all of their righteousness. They have lost all of the codes dealing with the righteousness. So the Most High was trying to find a way for the nation of Israel to get it back. Therefore, He gave them the moral codes, which was the Ten Commandments. But, but they violated their part of receiving that priesthood. That's why He had to actually split up the covenant, or He had to add more to the simple Ten Commandments, if that makes sense. He had to add a different type of covenant to them. And truth, thank you. They had to leave. All right. So truth be told, also, what a lot of people see, I do a lot of reading and studying. What a lot of people don't
Hmm.
know, or what's found out through some of historical documentation, like Josephus, and I can show you that Israel, Israel asked for the different laws after the Ten Commandments. See, the Most High, we only see an overview in scriptures. So other these other documents go in detail. So obviously, well, actually, Israel asked for these other laws. So the Most High wasn't going to juice them up with all of these laws anyway. All of these ordinances and stuff. He was just going to give them the basics. But they asked for it. They asked for it. He gave it to them. Then they did the covenant agreement. They said, I agree, or whatever they said, and it was set in stone. But what they agreed to was, if we do not do our end of the contract, then we can have wrath. Then you can destroy us. Then you can give us the curse. So that's the part that needed to be done away with. That whole covenant, that ever since that covenant turned to us being able to receive some wrath for falling short, that's the whole point of the new covenant, because that covenant that they agreed to was not going to cut it. And today we still can't. I mean, if we're still under that covenant, we still got more wrath to come because we haven't did nothing that we were supposed to do in a long time. But I would leave it like that, and turn it back over to you. Hopefully that answered, maybe some insight.
Yeah, no. I think we kind of on the same page here. That's what I think. I think we kind of are on the same page in the sense of, like, but like with my understanding is that, like, yeah, no, we can't do it because of the simple fact that we're in the lands. So the simple fact that we're not in our land, no, we can't do that. But the thing I probably would disagree with is the simple fact that um, uh, certain things that popped up only popped up because of disputes that was done in Israel. We was originally started off with the Ten Commandments, yes. Um, but in order to maintain, in order to maintain a society or a running government or whatsoever, then yes, there had to be other laws that had to put up there because you do have disputes that came along when you get in the household. You have certain disputes that was done in the household. For instance, like this person had owed me money. Well, no, I sold this person a cow, and then he was like, and then this person was like, well, this cow is defective. How would you handle that situation? If you read Numbers 15, you have Moshe who goes to Jethro and is like and asking for advice with Jethro, and he's like set up certain governments to deal with small disputes. So this is where a lot of other like smaller qualities that came up that smaller laws that came up outside of Israel. I mean, outside of the regular Ten Commandments that was for Israel, where okay, if you give somebody if you go and somebody's cow, or you may second kill somebody's cow, or somebody loans you a cow or whatsoever, and that cow is killed underneath your watch, then you have to pay back that person's cow, and then you get to keep the cow. Like now, does the Ten Commandments answer that? No, it doesn't. But these are like small disputes that came about. So it's not all about like all of the covenants that all of the moral values that comes up where it's like brings wrath or it's cause of death or something like that. Is not all of them are not. All of the Moshe laws or the covenant that was done under Moshe, all of them doesn't require that. Actually, the ones that actually requires death are actually the ones that where you're breaking the Ten Commandments. Like for instance, if you commit adultery, you die. If you worship another god other besides the Most High, you die. If you break the Shabbat, you die. If you steal, then you got to pay back tenfolds. If you covenant somebody else, you got to, it's there's the laws that requires death are actually the laws that comes from the Ten Commandments. Now, all the other ones that's dealing with, oh, if you have a slave, you're supposed to allow that slave to work 7 years and then you free. This is to keep like within the governmental system. This is to keep the governmental system intact. This is to keep civil rights intact. Or whatsoever, in which I think that Israel actually needs. We need to know, how do we deal with somebody business-wise. We need to know, okay, if I'm going to go and marry somebody and I'm not treating them right, what is there a way for the woman to get out of the marriage? Is there, which is in Exodus 12:10. If you're not able to provide, moral laws. So moral laws, or in the original moral laws, as far as like with the Noah law, Abraham and covenant and stuff like that. So this covenant was actually set to help govern Israel while they're in Israel. Now, can we still keep that today?
I would
Another.
say,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, can we keep that today? It's kind of hard to.
No, your phone breaking up.
Is it good now? Is it am I good?
Brother,
I'm
your
at the.
phone breaking up.
Am I okay? Probably got to hold it at a different angle. I'm in North Dakota, so I barely got up here.
I got
Uh, Shannon, sorry. Barry said like it. That's pretty much is what the Democratic Party is. It's set up where other people can dictate what laws um, should be in effect, or based off of just the mass vote, where it's given to the people. The governmental system is given to the people, which Moshe allowed. Moshe allowed the people to bring their disputes, and then after a dispute is settled, then they make a law for it. But not all of them. Yeah, like I was saying, like not all of them requires death. or will bring on a wrath. A majority, I would say about a good 80% of the laws that are out there are used to pretty much help people deal with matters or small matters that came about. Another one would be um, uh, diary, the diary, the virgin diary. That if a person is caught enticing a woman, or if there's been enticement happening or whatsoever, she's supposed to be underneath her father's house. There needs to be a diary paid, and they have to. Well, they don't have to be married. That's according to the father, but the father of the daughter. But that's something that's. There we go. That's something that needs to be in place because there were certain matters that came up with, oh, you enticed my daughter, you enticed my daughter. No, she came up to me and stuff like that, and I'm not paying nothing because she came up to me. I did what I do. You have a lot of camps that come out that even talk about, oh, well, sex is marriage, and it's like, okay, well, you need to pay a diary. You need to pay a virgin diary or whatsoever, and um without that law, then anybody just go around having sex and then saying, "Oh, you're mine, you on the and stuff," and then push along like, "Okay, well, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this as a man. I don't have to do this for her," and just straight get a divorce. Where it says that if you do this to somebody, or if you take a virgin daughter, or you take somebody's daughter, or whatsoever, and you entice her, then you can't let her go. But there are so many people that's just saying we having sex and then just leaving. I don't know if he got disconnected or not, but having sex and just leaving, then to come back. But Shannon, there you go. Okay, I want to get to your why he's coming back on to the Adam and Eve thing because you did ask an interesting question about the Adam and Eve. My understanding is that
Yeah, yeah, I
Adam
got cut off.
and Eve. if okay, yeah, I was gonna answer the Adam and Eve question for Shannon. I don't believe that Adam and Eve was the only two humans that was on the face of the earth, but they was just the first people to actually come in contact with the Most High. Um, but if that kind of answers her question, but yeah, anyway, but yeah, that's all. I believe like that. I don't really believe that uh, the laws was given just so we can be punished, but the laws was given because to actually help us separate us and make us our own nation and our own group of people and our special group of people that was made holy or set apart to the Most High.
All right. All right. Well, I got a few things to respond to that, and I got a few things that I want to read uh
Okay.
to show you my point of view. But this is my response first before I start reading. Um I'm saying that the Ten Commandments came in order to get Israel back to being righteous in the eyes of the Most High, so Israel itself could be that priest to the rest of the world, to be that light, be the priest to the rest of the world. But when Israel violated their part of coming down and meeting the Most High to seal the covenant, once they violated their part, then then when he came back with he changed around the type of covenant that it was, and when he changed around the type of covenant it was, then the wrath came. And no matter if you was breaking the commandments or if you was breaking any of the other statutes or anything else, if you didn't do if you didn't partake in that sacrificial system that you were supposed to partake in because you transgressed, and that was one of the main problems. The priest wasn't doing their duties, and it was so if the priest wasn't doing their duties and giving the Most High his appropriate sacrifices, then those individuals from those tribes, their sins wasn't being presented to the Most High as in a repentant sort. So by default, wrath had to come because they weren't holding their end of the contract. But I want to show you what I'm talking about first, in two different sections, and then I'll turn it back over to you. But I want to show you what I'm talking about. All right, hold on. All right, and I'm just gonna read it out loud. See, this is my Josephus book, right?
Okay.
This is Antiquities of the Jews. I don't know if you can see it, but this is book 3, chapter 5, section 4. And I'm just gonna read it. Uh I'm gonna skip over some of these, but this is section 5 right here. And you see the first commandment teaches us that there is to be but one God. The second commandment. So he goes through all 10 commandments. This is what Joseph is doing. He said in the beginning, they got all 10 of the commandments. So when you said that, how would we handle, like if someone steals or all of that stuff, or someone take an ox or don't pay somebody what they owe and stuff. See, this is taken care of in the commandments because you were supposed to, love your neighbor. You weren't supposed to, uh, bear false witness. You weren't supposed to covet. So if you're not doing all of that stuff by default, all of those other statutes that they added wouldn't be in place anyway. Because if you pretty much follow the 10 Commandments to the T back then, everything else you would never have to atone for any of the transgressions because you never could transgress. But when they violated the 10 Commandments, it automatically made them in violation of the other statutes or ordinances that they had to come to. But I want to go to section 6 now. It says right here, now when the multitude had heard God himself giving those precepts which Moses had discoursed of, they rejoiced at what was said, and the congregation was dissolved. So this is when they got the 10 Commandments. But it says, but on the following days, they came to his tent and desired him to bring them besides other laws from God. Accordingly, he appointed such laws and afterwards informed them in what manner they should act in all cases. So that's one thing I want to read, but that shows that it was some type of Hebrewic thought. Now I know a lot of people don't adhere to Josephus or the things written during the Roman Empire or during the Grecian era, but I follow some of that antiquity stuff because this stuff is like almost 2,000 years old. So I take it that Josephus was a priest. He understood prophecy, and he was a historian. So from that perspective, I'm going to say that I think he knows what he's talking about in some of this stuff. So it had to be Israelites that the Most High gave Israel the 10 Commandments, and Israel wanted more than the 10 Commandments. They wanted more things, and when he gave them the more things that they wanted, they could not adhere to it, and they brought that destruction on themselves. They brought that type of covenant upon themselves. First, by not going on the mountain and meeting him when they were supposed to. That's one violation. And then they asked for all of this other stuff on top of the 10 Commandments. And then they agreed that they was going to do it. And if they didn't do it, then the curse would come. They agreed to it. So that was a covenant. It started from a perfect covenant into Israel doing what Israel does, and they messed the covenant up. Therefore, the Mosaic covenant itself was not 100% what the Most High wanted Israel to have. He just gave them what they wanted. So that covenant, that the Mosaic covenant by itself was not Most High 100%, Most High extended. But I got one more thing I want to read. You hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Okay, I got one more thing I want to read,
you.
and then I'm gonna turn it over.
Go ahead.
All right, this is talking about covenants right here, right? And I'm actually on the Mosaic covenant, and I'm just gonna read the section. This is a book, y'all. It's called Understanding the Whole Bible. You can pick it up if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's by Dr. John Welton. It cost me about 50 or 60 bucks. It has a lot of good information in it. I do a lot of reading, y'all. But anyway, it says this is how a normal kinship ceremony works. So if people want to talk about covenants, you got to understand that it's different type of covenants. You got vassal covenants, you got kinship's covenant. It's another type of covenant. So you got to find out what type of covenant Abraham had, what type of covenant Moses had, what type of covenant Noah had, what type of covenant Adam had. So you got to find out what type of covenant it was in order to understand how to operate in the covenant. First, keep going. So it says, this is how a normal kinship ceremony works. So this is a kinship covenant. If two people of groups came together to make a covenant with each other, that meant two equals were coming together to make a kinship covenant. Together, they would draft a list of rules that both groups must obey. The list of rules would embody the covenant that they made together. This is what happened in the story of the 10 Commandments. So when he gave them the 10 Commandments, they was entering inside a kinship covenant. And it says, however, our modern ideas of the 10 Commandments have become a handicap that keeps us from understanding what they really were. We imagine them as two round off tablets of stones which had Roman numerals, 5 on one tablet and 5 on the other. However, in the ancient world, this would have been considered a tremendous waste of materials. Instead, these tablets would have been square with commandments 1 through 5 on front, 6 through 10 on the back. And it says Exodus 32:15 actually tells us that the tablets were inscribed on both sides. They were inscribed on both sides, front and back. In other words, both tablets had all of the 10 commandments on them. The second tablet was a copy or duplicate of which was a normal practice in the ancient world as of today. In this way, when the two parties came together and made their list of rules signifying the covenant, each party could take home one of the copies of the covenant agreement. This was a normal practice in a kinship ceremony. And I got a few more reading, then I'm going to turn it right back over to you. When the delegates of the nations who had just made a kinship covenant returned home, they would take their copies of the covenant to their temple or tabernacle, where they would put it in the box called an ark. So everything we read inside of the scriptures doing with the Mosaic covenant was already a practice that the Israelites had already seen. So this is not nothing new. This is something that had already existed before time. But Israel was not the first nation to have an ark. It was common practice at that time. And it was specifically used to hold copies of covenant agreement. Thus, it was named the Ark of the Covenant. So now, I'm going to end it with this. We see the diagram right here. We have the temple, we have the two copies, and we have the different tribes right there. So in the diagram above, we see the delegate 1 returned to his tribe and put the tablet in the ark to his God. Delegate 2 did the same, putting the tablet in the ark to his God. The understanding was if one tribe, I'm going to say this again, if one tribe, so this would be the people, this was a covenant between the Most High and Israel. So if one tribe violated the covenant with tribe 2, the God of tribe 1 would punish them for being in violation. In other words, their own God would punish that tribe that violated the covenant, because that was the God they believed in, not the God of the other tribe. So when these two tribes created a kinship covenant together, they were saying, this is what's going on between Israel and God. If we violate our covenant with you, then our God will punish us. So this was the covenant that they agreed to. This is the covenant that Israel agreed to. Now, this is the kinship, and later on, it changed a little bit with Israel, because Israel agreed to more of the harsher punishment. So that was their bad. But the covenant was, if we violated any of the covenant, then wrath could come upon us. So that's why the Most High had the Levitical priesthood in place. He still needed a priesthood in that covenant, because the priesthood was supposed to do the sacrifices to bring that repentance to the Most High, for him to not do away with the sins per se, but for him to put off his wrath until later on. The problem was the priests start tripping, so the Israelites themselves was able to experience that wrath. And my last thing, and then I swear I'm done, to show that the covenant brought forth wrath while they was in the wilderness before the covenant, when the Israelites was complaining of the food, the Most High gave them the manna. After the covenant, when they was complaining of the food, he killed them. The covenant brought forth death. That's scriptures. But I done and I hand it back to you to show that this is why, another reason why the Mosaic covenant can't be in effect today, and it had to go.
Okay.
And I know I
Okay.
said a lot,
That
so
was
you can go ahead.
yeah, you did. You did. You said a whole lot. Okay. Okay. So what I would ask you then, because I think I see where we're going with this. I have a couple of questions there. All right.
Okay.
Do you believe? Do you believe that the Most High only required, in order to turn away His wrath? Do you think He required a sacrifice in order for His wrath to be returned?
For them not to experience the wrath, I would
Oh,
say.
you sounded choppy
Well,
a
I
little
would
bit.
say,
Hold on.
okay, my bad. I would say that it would have delayed the wrath further on down the line, because what it did, it pushed the wrath further on down, because the wrath was going to come regardless.
So, okay, hold on. I think you. Ah, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna try this. Hold on.
Okay.
Uh, okay, Elvin, come back on. Hold on. I'm about to say. I'll try to. I just had to switch over my Wi-Fi. I'll turn off this Wi-Fi. Okay. And give him a second. See this. Okay, hold on. Go, Elvin, go out and then come back in. Oh, well, let me see if that will work. It's that Love's Wi-Fi for you. uh, and y'all forgive my hair. I don't like getting my hair done. But keep it natural. Yeah, I'm here. I'm just not sure about what was going on with my Wi-Fi. Um, try going out. Try going out and then coming back in. Yeah, that's all it is. Saturday, all natural. I'm trying to get another roll. I waited too long, but I'm trying to get another roll, like kind of similar to like these. Like these is the end of one lot, connected two lots. So I try to get another roll. So I try to get enough new growth so I can combine some more, and then we can look like this, like it's dividing like that, and then divides into two more with my finger locks. I haven't seen nobody else with them, so I'll be the first with it. Let me see if he's coming out. Okay, I mean, I guess why he's. Oh, and I saw also Shannon that she had a question about Job. That's a very controversial question. Me personally, I don't think that he was a Hebrew, but there is a guy in there who was from Timon, and one of Job's friends was from Timon, and Timon supposedly uh, Esau's grandson. So that's what gives the people the impression that he was a Hebrew. Also, the fact that a temple is present there in Job 1:1. So that's why it's given the impression. But it is said that the book of Job, was written before. Was one of the oldest books that's written in the Torah. So I mean, that was written before uh, the Exodus, or the books of the Exodus and stuff. So it could have been. It could have been. He could have been, but he could have been like pre-Exodus or pre-Egypt. Like he could have lived during a time when they were still in Canaan. I'm not sure. Okay. There's even some speculations, and especially if you read the book of Jasher, uh, that he was Abraham himself. A lot of that stuff points to him being Abraham, because a lot of the story that's written in Jasher about Abraham um, is kind of like a similar story to Jacob. But it's kind of theorized there, so I'm not really too sure. I don't know why it's not adding you, like it's saying adding. I don't see how people be saying like, "Oh, you're not trying to come on here," and stuff like, and it's telling you that it's trying to add. So, like, are you getting the friend request? Oh, right when we start, it does this every single time. Right when we start getting good. uh, because I have some questions that'll probably make you think. But I don't know. Anyway, like I definitely am under the impression that uh, we can't keep all the Mosaic laws. Um, just the simple fact that we don't have a priest system. We're not in the land. We don't have a temple. Um, we don't have a governmental body or whatsoever. Uh, okay. And all right, I will. I will. Um, let's see. Okay, I just seen. Okay, I just seen it. Okay, let's see if this will work. Make sure I'm not on Wi-Fi. Okay. And I don't want to give my thoughts on it without you being on here, Elvin, because like you might have a rebuttal for it. So I kind of want to wait. I apologize to everybody who's kind of waiting. Of course, Facebook is being Facebook. This is why I like hang out and shalom. We just talking about whether the Moshe laws are necessary or whatsoever to be kept. And I'm waiting for Brother Elvin to come back in. But what he was pretty much getting at is that the Moshe laws, the simple fact that the priesthood, we need to be a priesthood, and the simple fact that the laws aren't being kept, which I agree, they wasn't being kept even while we was in the land. That we, I got your request, and it's saying adding. So, and it has you up here saying that you're being added. But it's just saying adding. So, I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe we can start the live over again. You think that would probably be good? Would you want to? Because it's just probably the connection of the specific live. And exactly, that's why I was thinking, Malak, that we can't keep all the laws because, and I can say this until I get Elvin's answer about starting over the live and trying it again. I don't think that, I don't think that we can keep them all or whatsoever because, because of certain things, like we need a temple, a priest, stuff need to be done kosherly. We can't offer up sacrifices like we're supposed to as we commanded because we have no priesthood or temple. So definitely agree with that. Okay, so we're gonna start over the live. So just give me a second. I'm gonna try to connect to the love. I'm at a Love's, so I'm gonna try to connect to the Love's Wi-Fi, and maybe that'll probably be making everything a little bit better. All right, so give me about 2 minutes, and then I'll be on. Everybody, just look for my connection, and Elvin can tag everybody else who was on here as well. All right, shalom.